You lock your doors. You close your curtains. You tell yourself that nothing can reach you inside your home. But what if I told you that for 3 people, people just like you, that illusion of safety was shattered in a single night? Because sometimes, the real danger isn't what's inside your house, it's what's standing outside, watching, waiting, breathing in sync with you through a thin wall of silence. In tonight's video, you'll hear 3 true horror stories, unsettling accounts of people who thought they were alone, only to realize they weren't. These aren't tales of ghosts or folklore. They're stories rooted in reality. Suburban streets, rural homes, quiet neighborhoods, all invaded by something no one could have predicted. A human presence where there shouldn't have been one. By the end of this video, you may find yourself pulling your blinds just a little tighter. Because once you see what they saw, once you feel what they felt, you'll understand. The darkness outside your window isn't the enemy. It's what waits inside that darkness, silently, patiently, for you to look away. Case 1. The car stopped on the street. It started like most nights do. Quiet, forgettable. For Mark, a 42-year-old graphic designer living in a peaceful suburban neighborhood in Oregon, nothing ever really happened. His evenings followed a routine. Dinner at 7, coffee at 8, then a few hours of design work before heading to bed around midnight. But one Tuesday night in late October, something broke the pattern. As Mark stepped outside to take out the trash, he noticed a black sedan idling across the street. Its engine was running, headlights off, windows tinted. Odd but not alarming, at least not yet. The car was gone by morning, but the next night at the same time, it was there again. Same spot, same silence, same presence. Night after night, it returned. Always at 2:17 a.m. It never moved, no one got in or out, and yet it felt alive, like it was staring back at him. Mark began watching it from his bedroom window. He didn't tell anyone at first. He told himself it was probably a neighbor, maybe someone working night shifts. But something didn't sit right. The car never parked near a house. It didn't belong, and the longer it stayed, the more Mark's routines began to break. He stopped sleeping. He kept the lights off, hoping to see better into the dark. He bought binoculars, and that's when he noticed something terrifying. Behind the windshield, there was a figure, not slouched, not resting, staring directly at his window, unmoving, unblinking. Not once did the figure reach for a phone. Not once did it shift positions, just stillness, every single night. One night, Mark finally worked up the courage to call the police. The dispatcher was polite but dismissive. If they're on public property and not breaking the law, there's not much we can do. But Mark wasn't looking for laws. He was looking for answers. The next evening, the car returned as usual. Only this time, as the clock struck 2:17, the headlights blinked on. The car slowly rolled forward, crossed the street, and pulled onto Mark's driveway. It stopped. The engine kept running. The driver didn't move. Mark stood frozen at his window, heart pounding. And then the driver did something he hadn't done before. He opened the door, stepped out, and placed something beneath Mark's windshield wiper. A single sheet of paper. Then he drove off. By the time Mark made it outside, the car had vanished. No tire marks, no sounds, just the note. He unfolded it with shaking hands. 4 words, handwritten. In uneven, shaky letters, the cameras miss everything. Case 2. The house in front is empty. Mark never saw the car again. But what stayed with him, what kept him awake, wasn't the silence that followed. It was the realization that someone had been watching him all along, unnoticed, untouched, and completely in control. It's that kind of quiet horror that lingers. And for Emily, a 17-year-old high school senior living in a quiet cul-de-sac in New Hampshire, that silence would soon become unbearable. Her nightmare didn't start with a stranger in a car. It began with the house across the street, a house that had been empty for years, or so she thought. Emily's family had moved into the neighborhood 3 years earlier. The house across from theirs had been vacant ever since, windows boarded, yard overgrown, no lights, no activity, just a silent structure that blended into the background. But one evening in December, as she was brushing her hair near her bedroom window, she saw something strange. One of the upstairs curtains in the abandoned house had shifted, just slightly. Not from wind, not from accident. It had been pulled aside, then slowly let go. She stared for a long time, trying to convince herself she'd imagined it. The next night, the curtain was open. She told her parents, but they shrugged it off. Probably kids sneaking in, maybe an animal. Emily started keeping track. Night after night, the lights inside the house, previously dead, would flicker on briefly, always around the same time. 9:12 p.m. Just one light, one room, then nothing, no movement, no sound. Until one night, while filming a dance video for social media in her bedroom, she caught something in the reflection of her vanity mirror. Behind her, in the blurred background of the window, a pale face was pressed against the glass of the abandoned house. Watching her, she ran outside. But when she crossed the street, the house was pitch black. The window closed. The face gone. Her father went over with a flashlight. He circled the building, checked the doors, all locked. "No one's in there," he said. "You're imagining things." But Emily knew what she'd seen, and the next morning she had proof. Folded neatly and taped to their front door was a handwritten note on yellow paper. "You're beautiful in green." The note referenced the exact outfit she'd worn the night before. A green sweatshirt she hadn't worn in weeks. That's when the fear became real. She wasn't just imagining things. Someone had been watching her from that house. The police were called. They investigated the abandoned property but found nothing. No signs of forced entry, no footprints, no fingerprints. Emily stopped sleeping in her room. Her blinds stayed shut, her lights off. But the most disturbing part, even after the investigation, the light in the house across the street kept turning on, every night at 9:12. Even after the power had supposedly been cut, even after they sawed the breaker box out entirely. No one ever caught who left the note. And to this day, no one knows how that light still flickers on, like clockwork. Case 3. A thriller no quintal. Some stories haunt you because they're sudden. Others, because they stretch out slowly, tightening like a noose until you can't breathe. For Harold and Marion, a retired couple living in a small farmhouse on the edge of a wooded valley in northern Montana, it started with something small, barely noticeable. Footprints in the frost. They appeared one morning after a light snowfall, leading from the forest edge across their backyard and stopping just short of the kitchen window. No return prints, no animal tracks. Just one set of human steps, ending at the glass. At first they dismissed it. Maybe a hiker, maybe a prank. But it kept happening. Every few days, new footprints, same direction, same endpoint, always at night. Harold installed motion lights, but they never triggered. Marion began waking up in the middle of the night with the sense that someone was near. Not in the house, but close. Watching, listening. One night, after a freezing windstorm, they found something else. A circle drawn in the frost on the outside of their bedroom window, exactly at eye level. Someone had stood there, in the cold, just inches away while they slept. That same morning, they found one of their barn cats dead, placed deliberately on the porch step, spine twisted unnaturally. Still, no prints. Harold bought trail cameras and set them up around the property. For 2 weeks, nothing. But then, one morning, The camera by the back tree line captured something. The footage was grainy, but clear enough to see a tall figure standing still, too still, for nearly 4 hours. The person never moved, never shifted weight, just stared toward the house, face obscured by a hoodie, hands at their sides. That night, Harold stayed up, shotgun nearby. But no one came. Days passed. Marion stopped going outside alone. They stopped answering the door after dark. Then one morning, Harold reviewed the latest trail cam footage, and this time, the figure wasn't near the tree line. It was at the back door, close enough to touch the doorknob. But the most disturbing part wasn't the face, still covered. It wasn't the silence. It was what the person held. A phone pointed directly at the kitchen window. They were filming, just like the trail cam was filming them. 2 days later, Harold and Marion made the decision to leave the property. They packed up what they could and arranged to move in with their daughter. But the day they left, Harold went into the barn one last time to grab his tools. Sitting on top of the workbench was a small, neatly folded piece of paper. The handwriting was shaky but legible. "I liked you too. You never bothered me." The barn door had been padlocked. No signs of entry, no footprints. Just the message, a thank you, from whoever had been watching them for weeks or months. So, what do you do with stories like these? You don't wake up to a ghost hovering at the end of your bed. There's no ancient curse, no shadowy creature crawling through the walls. What you're left with is far worse, because it's real, it's quiet, and it's human. These people weren't haunted by the supernatural. They were stalked by silence, watched by eyes that never blinked, hunted by intentions that never spoke. And that's what stays with you, not the jump scares, not the loud noises. It's the moment you realize that the darkness outside your window might be hiding something that's been there for weeks. Something that's waited patiently without ever making a sound. Because the scariest part of all isn't what they saw. It's what they didn't. Mark never found out who sat in that car every night. Emily still wonders how that light turns on across the street. And Harold and Marion? They'll never know how long they were being watched before the footprints even began. These stories aren't just entertainment. They're warnings, reminders, that safety is never guaranteed, not by walls or doors or routines, that someone can be outside, right now, waiting, and maybe, just maybe, they've already chosen you. So tonight, when you go to bed, take one last look outside. Not to scare yourself, but to remember that sometimes the only thing separating you from what's out there is a pane of glass. And sometimes that's just not enough.